Hi guys, I'm back here with more videos. This is going to be a solve critique of Iuri Grangeiro, and he recently broke the Brazilian national record one-handed average, so I will be critiquing his NR average, and this week is going to be different because I'm going to be doing it one-handed. Here we go. Alright, so here's the first scramble. The time was a 12.7. I'll be showing his solution on this one and then my solution on this one. So he started here and did this blue and yellow block. So we already see this paired up and this pair. So he did U prime, U prime to set up this edge, R, R, U, R, U prime, solving that in the back, and then U, F prime. Now I would have probably done something similar because I would have seen the same thing, this pair. However, I think what I would have done is U R2 U F prime and then done this back pair afterwards, like that. So that avoids the U and U prime, all that awkward stuff. But still, he executed it pretty quickly, and then he was fluid into his second block. So here he saw this and inserted it with R2, and then here there was a bit of a pause or a lockup, because I guess he planned this in inspection, but then after that he didn't know what to do, and since these pieces were all hidden in the bottom, he wasn't sure where he was going with this. So then he did U prime and then split these two up, and then paired them with M prime in the back like this, inserted them, and then here he got a bit confused and did U prime U U, and then solved these two. So in this case, what I would have done is I would have seen this corner attached to this edge, the DR edge. So then while I'm putting that in, I would split them up. So now I have these two and everything's visible on the top. And now I can solve this pair like that. And now I just have this pair left. Like that. Now for CMLL, he did U and then solved this soon case, just like normal. I would have done the same thing. Now he did this EOLR for the LSC, so we have 4 on top flipped and then nothing on bottom, and then these two are opposite. Like that, and I would have done the exact same thing there. So nothing to say about the solutions of LSC and CMLL, those were executed very well, and a high 12 is a good solve for you, so the only thing I'd say there is for that first block, try to see that different way of doing it so you don't have to do the U prime U stuff, and also work on that better look ahead and influencing pieces while you're inserting that DR edge. Alright, here's the second scramble. On this one you got a 16, so you rotated and did this green-white block. So first we see that this and this can be paired up, and the other two pieces are this one and this one. So we started with R, U wide prime, R, U wide to make that square, and then did U prime, R, U prime, and then rotated U prime to solve this one, and then back down. Now, I don't like rotations in the first block, and as you can see, those two moves in your solve actually slow down your TPS quite a bit. So what I would have done here is started it the same way with R, U prime, R, U wide, like that. But then here, I would have done pair those like this, and then U prime, R wide, back prime, like that. Moving on to the second block, so at first you did U prime U. I guess maybe you got confused by these two pieces. And then you did R, U prime, R wide prime to orient this. U prime, R, R. Then you solve this pair, M, like that. And that left this pair in the back. like that. That's pretty good, except for I would say the beginning. So how I would have solved this pair would be like this. Start off the same way, but then R wide 2 to make that orange on bottom. So then you don't have to do 2 M moves, you just do 1, and then same finish. So for CMLL, you got this U case where it's the commutator. So you did U prime, RRD. That's the way I used to do it, but the way I execute it now, I'll just show it again on the same cube, would be like this. So U prime, like that, and I think that's a lot faster. So just take advantage of those Z rotations to turn RUD into, I guess, RU. But what I would have done here is, since I see a 6 flip, I would have done U and done this alg. And now I have a arrow. So LSC is what actually messed this solve up, which is weird because LSC is your best step for one-handed, I guess. But you started off using, I guess, Guru's 6 flip repertoire. So you saw these two, so move this away, and then M, so keep that on the bottom, and then bring this to the opposite side and solve the arrow, M prime, U prime, M. Then you set these up on the bottom, U prime, M prime, U2, M, so now you have these two on the bottom. U, M2 to solve them. And U prime, once you got here, this sort of misoriented centers messed up your recognition, and you did M prime, U2, M, U2, M prime, U2, and then you figured it out, M prime, U2, M. Alright, so if I would have got this 6 flip, I would have started the same way, like U prime, M, U prime, and then that's EO, and then setting these up on the bottom, getting them into the top. Once you get here, once you see that this is white and yellow, you see that this is the block, so obviously white and yellow is either M2 or U2, so since this is the block, you don't want to break it, so you do M2. So for that, I just say, you could probably get away with opening up a CS timer session and just practicing a bunch of 6 flip LSCs, so you can get used to doing that 4C recognition with misoriented centers. Other than that, that solve was good. I'd say learn that alternate CML alg to influence EO and experiment with the Z rotations to turn RUD into RUZ. Here's the third scramble. On this one, you got 11. So you solved this orange-white with these two first. So U prime, RU prime, R prime, pair them in the back. X prime, and then this pair was solved the whole time in the back. R wide, U prime, R wide, DD. I like that first block. I would have done something similar. Actually the exact same, except just without the rotation. And the reason for that is because once you did that DD and the X, there was quite a big pause and a little bit of a lockup with the transition to second block. Whereas where I would have been in this position the whole time, I would have seen this was going to be there and I would have known exactly what I was doing. Now at this point, you saw this pair, paired them with M moves in the back. And then one thing I noted that I liked in this solve was that you finish this with an R wide prime, because that keeps this edge oriented, and then just that. And I would have done the same thing there, just like that. CMLL, I also really like this part of your solve because you did F wide sexy F prime to influence EO, just like that. And now for your LSC, EO skip, so you just went straight into that, and then so that solve, I would say second block, CML, LSC, amazing, awesome, keep going with that. Except for that first block, once again, I don't really like that rotation, and it threw you off a bit and caused a bit of a pause. I think this solve could have been a mid-10, so just that slight pause there probably cost you sub 13 average. This is the fourth scramble. On this one you got a 15, which is a little unfortunate because you already had a 16, so this ended up being counting. The worst counting's all the average, so you did an x prime and started with this block over here. So you started with r prime, u r wide prime, and that set up these two in the front, so I'll just show that again. You have these two going to pair up, and then bring that in from the back, r prime, u, r wide prime, and then d prime solves that square over there, and the other pair is just right here, so r wide prime, u prime, r wide, f prime solves those. I was actually doing something similar to this. At first, when I was trying to reconstruct your solve, I was thinking, what? Why would he do an r prime here? He can't be doing this block. But then I realized you did an r prime, and I was thinking the only way to do this is an r wide prime, because doing r prime and then r wide prime is a little bit awkward. So instead, I would recommend doing r wide prime for both of them like this, and then finishing the same way. So for second block, you saw this and did r wide to u prime and then paired this up. But then once you saw this, you did r prime and then corrected it with rr, u prime to take this pair out, and then solve this block. Like that. So there was a bit of awkward choppiness in that block, and there was a bit of r prime rr type thing, but overall the solution was really efficient. So keep working with things like that, and eventually it'll be more natural and you can do it with less pauses. So here I probably wouldn't have done the same thing. I would have just, what happened? I would have gone ahead and solved this pair and then separated this and solved it like that instead of your way. So for CMLL, you have this T case with the front bar, and you did r wide prime, u r wide, and then you did r prime, f r, f prime, r. Now there's two problems with that. First of all, you have an EO skip, which you can see because these four are white and yellow, and this one is not white and yellow. So the algae used flipped edges, so now you have two edges flipped instead of a skip. And also you did r prime, and there's no reason to be doing that when you can just do rr because it's one-handed and r's are better than r primes. So here what you should have done is r prime. So instead of starting the algorithm with an r wide prime, if you start it with an r prime, now you still have that EO skip. So for your LSC, you did u to set these opposite to each other, and then m, u prime, m prime, which I don't really understand because that wasn't an EOLR, and you could have done m prime, u prime, m prime. And then you did u prime and solved this arrow, separated these two. And then you got confused here. Oh, my bad. And then solve that in the front. So here I would have done something like this. That way to get arrow. And then set those up in the back like this. And one quick thing that I would like to mention here is that you got a bit confused with the corners and setting them up with the edge. I think a lot of people stress tracking the LR edges so much that they forget to look at the corners. So what I would suggest is while you're solving EO, since you already have a good eye for LR edges and EOLR, just stare at these corners and like pick a set, say this red, and just look at where it's going, so that once you get LR edges on the bottom, you can find it and then you're good to go.
Podre.
Here's the fifth and final scramble. You got a 10:49 on this, which made it the national record. So you did this orange, white, orange, yellow block. So this was solved in the back. And then doing a UR would set these up so that once you do a D, those pair. And then you solve this pair in the back like this to create this line. And then solved it with this. just like that. Now that's pretty good. I don't think I would have done that, however. I would have created a line because I notice once you do a D prime, what happens is this corner is lined up and this edge is an F move from being away from being solved. So I would have started with D prime U F. Now we have 4 out of the 6 pieces ready, and then these two are solved by U R wide U prime R, and just like that. Alright, here's your second block. Your transition into second block was very good. You just went U prime R R, then solved this pair. And then this one in the front. One thing I would suggest that you play with more is influencing other stuff while inserting this. So once you see this, you can actually do, and now they're actually set up to solve, like that, and then just this pair is left. Overall, your blocks were very good because in this one, you didn't do any rotations and you didn't lock up or pause. So that was constant fluid turning, you didn't pause anywhere, and as you saw, that was your best solve the average, so try to do more solves like that without rotations. Alright, here's your CMLL, you got the pure pi case, you did U2, and then F double sexy F prime. Now what that does is flips these two edges, and the reason I don't want you doing that is because it's going to get rid of the arrow. So what I recommend doing is the RU algorithm for this one, like that, and you still have an arrow. So for LSC, these two are misoriented, and these are the LR edges. So the EOLR for this one, which you did, is, and now you have this nice arrow, and for C skip. So I would have done the same thing, just like that. Overall, this was your best solve, obviously, because it was the fastest, but that's not the only reason it was the best. It was just because your blocks were very fluid, because of the lack of rotations and good look ahead. Keep working at that. Only thing I'd say here would be experiment more with doing different U moves and R wide moves while inserting the DR edge, so you can influence the other pairs and maybe set them up to an easy insert, and also learn some more CMLLs for influencing EO. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped you and everyone else watching.